Good morning, student. This video content is the first part of the chapter What is democracy? Why democracy? Class 9, subject social science and sub-subject democratic politics. Student, now you are in class 9 and this is the new section which is added in the subject social science, that is called democratic politics. So it is required to first understand what is the nature of this section of the subject social science, because it has been observed that you uh, connect it with the civics. Sometime you understand that it is civics, sometime uh, you do not understand that how it is different from the civics. So that is why first we would be discussing that till your 8th class. Let me tell you that in your junior class between 6th to 8th you studied the subject civics. That was the part of the subject social science, but that particular section of the social science is entirely different from the subject democratic politics. Make the point very clear that civics is different part and democratic politics is different. Let me help you to understand. In the civics you studied about your country India, that what are the rules and regulation that we need to follow as a citizen of this country. You came to know about the provisions written in the Indian Constitution, what are the philosophies of the Constitution, what are the guiding values of the Constitution, what fundamental rights have been given to the people of this country as a citizen of this country, what are the duties, what is expected from these people of the country. From the people of the country there are certain duties also expected that you have studied in your earlier classes. Then you have discussed various constitutional office like office of the president, office of the vice president, office of the prime minister, what power do they have, what are the work they are likely to do, what salary do they get for the kind of work they perform, how they are supposed to be doing the work as a civil servant or as a public servant. You also studied about the three organ of the government: legislature, executive, judiciary, their area of work, what are their limitations, how election do take place in the country, and the last that you studied about the judiciary, which is meant to give the judgment. So how the structure of judiciary exists, starting from Supreme Court till the district and session court existing in the every district. So that is how student in the 3 year between 6th class to 8th class you studied about the rules regulation, what need to be followed, what as a individual and citizen we should be knowing, because if we are living in this country we must know about the rules and regulation. Now moving to this democratic politics. Student, again I shall repeat, make the point clear. Many time it has been observed you used to speak word civics for this. So make it clear, don't repeat the word civics. It is democratic politics, which is about finding the various dimensions of democracy, which is about not limiting ourselves in the area of discussion to our country India, rather taking various examples across the world. We can be helping ourselves to understand that nature and scope of the democracy, what different forms of democracy exist in this country, and also we would try to understand that if any part where democracy does not exist, how it has been claimed that it is a democracy. So we need to be clear in terms of our definition that what is the meaning of democracy. Only then we will be able to differentiate. Student, first time you will be going through the textbook given to you, that is called democratic politics for class 9. You will find completely new thing in the presentation of this book. This book, you just turn the pages before you go to the this particular chapter. I would suggest you just turn the pages. You will find that this entire book is full of various cartoons. Don't jump to this conclusion that cartoons are meant to make you laugh or feel good about various issues. It is only and only the cartoons added in this part is called political cartoon, which is used to help you understand the particular concept in a better manner. And these cartoons are some of the famous cartoons printed in the leading newspapers across the world that has been used to help us understand the kind of topic we are studying in different section of the chapter, different section of this textbook, and then we would be helping ourselves to understand that where the definition is and how we can understand that this definition of a particular word is evolving with the time. Second thing is, student, that there are few characters asking question in between the chapters. Why it is so? Many times it happens that while in your classroom, when your teacher do make the explanation of the chapter, you, due to the peer pressure that what other student will think, somehow sometimes don't ask questions. So what are the possibilities that the question is likely to come in your mind on your behalf? These children are asking to their teacher and helping you to understand without asking some of the questions. So these two mediums are used for making the presentation very well. As this particular topic deals with the democracy, so this book has tried to have various questions where you are expected to give answer as per your understanding. So in terms of these answers, we can say that things are being made quite democratic in nature. We can understand that we are not impose any answers if these are something about our opinion. So when you will be going to the exercise section of any of the chapters of this textbook, you will find that various questions are based on your opinion. Like there is a section that is called check your progress. So you have been asked questions after explaining you some of the concept, and then rest is left to you that how you understand the area of discussion, area of particular area related to the democratic aspects or the problem existing, and then you find the solution or give your opinion, whatever you think best. That is how book has been made democratic. That was just the beginning of this chapter. I wanted to make few points clear before moving to the introduction, but now we shall be going as per the textbook, and your book is starting from the very first page. Open the very first page. There is a heading of this chapter: what is democracy and why democracy? So first question comes, what is democracy? Naturally, if democratic form of government, in your class 6, 7, 8, there was a chapter in which you classified the kind of government on the various basis. Like you studied, there are three kind of government: democratic government, non-democratic government, monarchical or dictatorial government, etc. Then you also divided democratic form of government into the two subcategory: presidential form of government and parliamentary form of government. That was, both these governments are democratic in nature. Then you also made a further division on another criteria, that is called unitary government and federal government. All we shall study in the coming part, but here we will try to understand that what is democracy. So your book is starting with the very first heading, why to define democracy. So question comes in the mind that why there is a need of definition. For this, your book has taken a particular place, a particular classroom. This is also hypothetical in nature, means exactly there is no such class, but through this classroom discussion, book has tried to help you understand the nature and concept of democracy. Student, I don't want to read this part for you. I would suggest you read it yourself, but we are going to have our discussion. This class is somewhere in Meghalaya, and it is a classroom where teacher is Miss Matilda Lingdo. I hope I am making the correct pronunciation for the name of the teacher. And there are various students. I am not interested to read their name because it hardly matters. What is the area of discussion that matters? So what is there, student? In the classroom, one child is asking a simple question to the teacher that why things are quite opposite in this textbook, that after having read entire chapter, now we are expected to define democracy. Because this child is quite okay in this question, she or he, whatever the question is being asked, this child is asking right thing. So far in other subject, it has been realized that every subject start with defining of the concept. Then some examples are given, then some base questions, subject based questions, definition based questions are given, especially in subjects like mathematics and science. But this book has tried to define things in a democratic manner, that students are given opportunity to define democracy, and exactly that is taking place in the classroom of Madam Lingdo. So the child has asked that why the things is quite opposite. First we have understood the entire chapter through various examples. Now we are expected to define democracy, and ma'am is suggesting that definition is very important to help us understand that we can be making the right use of the word. We are not going to make the incorrect things, because in democracy it happens, in modern time it has been observed that various governments which are not democratic, rather they are dictatorial or despotic in nature, used to claim that they are also democratic, and every government working of such governments is very much people's welfare in nature. It is meant to do the welfare of the people. Ma'am is giving an example that we need to define pen, rain or love. Only then we can use it right sense. Very true. Suppose if any of your friend asks that give me a pencil, and you don't know what pencil look likes, so your mind will not get the correct image of the object. So it might be possible that you may end up giving the rubber, or you may end up giving the pen to the person, and then person may be surprised that you even do not know what is pencil looking like. So definition has to be clear. Another example is given that rain. Sometimes rain is not a appropriate word, not adequate word. Like suppose I said that last night it was raining. So the idea in your mind will not be clear that what was the uh, quantum of the raining. If I will say that last night it was drizzling, then you will understand that it was raining, but not very hard. If I will say that there was cloud burst situation or thunderstorm was there, you will be understanding that along with the rain there was high wind velocity was existing. There was some lightning going also in the sky. So right word has to be used. Love is a word that need to be defined properly. Only then we can use to the right person at the right time. That's by this means ma'am is wanting to tell everyone that democracy need to be defined in a proper manner, because time to time the definition keeps on evolving, keeps on changing, and it is the requirement to understand the concept of the chapter very well. Then there is another question coming from another student that ma'am, there are various definitions of democracy. True. Number of political philosophers, number of scholars of the field of political science has given definition of democracy, and if you will ask definition of democracy on the internet, you might get more than 500 definition. So the child is saying that the best definition is given by the president of the US president Abraham Lincoln, who said that democracy is a government by the people, for the people, and of the people. So it is good enough. Why to define further? Why to make further effort to define democracy again and again? So ma'am is saying that democracy is evolving with the time. In the meantime, ma'am is going to explain that how democracy is going to evolve. Another child is coming. Yes ma'am, why we should define democracy? Because I read somewhere that democracy word has been originated from the Greek word demos and kratia, where demos means people and kratia means rule. So it's simple that it is the people's rule. Why we need to further make any definition? Wherever peoples are ruling through their representative, we can say it is democracy. So ma'am is again making point clear that no, it is not necessary. There are various places where people are ruling in the forms of casting their election, and after the election, when the government comes into the power, it overlook all the aspirations and demands of the people. So such government cannot be called democratic. That is how ma'am is trying to help these students understand that what is democracy need to be defined by a democratic means, by a debate or discussion. Democratic means when everyone, democratic means that every child, every person is given an opportunity to have their own way of defining democracy, understanding its nature, understanding the component that it is wanting to include in the definition of democracy. And this is the probable reason that not Abraham Lincoln who has defined democracy in this word, many people have defined democracy. Why Abraham Lincoln's definition cannot be considered complete? Then next question comes. Because when Abraham Lincoln defined democracy, I'm reading again what he said. Democracy is a government by the people, for the people and of the people. So it is only defining the democracy in terms of people and the government, that how the relation between people and government exists. But it is not making the definition of democracy in a broader sense. You can say that democracy has become quite broader in the sense that if we are given opportunity to express our opinion, we can say that the platform where we are given such opportunity is quite democratic. Take an example, within the family, things could be democratic. Suppose you are being asked by your father that to which particular city you are supposed to be taken for the summer vacation, and if different people are coming with a different opinion and father is giving a thought and then deciding, then it can be said that family is very democratic. Your book in the later part of the chapter has said that suppose a girl who is wanting to get married, but she is being dictated by the family member, that where family member is willing to get her married, she will have to marry, then the things are quite dictatorial upon her, quite undemocratic. If she is given opportunity after, because she has become adult, she is an individual person as per democratic norms, so she should be given opportunity to take decision about her life. So that then the family which gives the opportunity to their children to take decision whether they want to marry, when they want to marry, to whom they want to marry, what career they are wanting to choose, what kind of studies they are wanting to pursue in the later part of their life, you can say that such family is democratic. What I want to say by this example, student, I have taken this example little earlier in the later part of the textbook. This will be used in the exercise section to help you understand that democracy is not limited to only only to explain the relation between the people and the government. It is much more than that. That is why, student, there are another section what your book has tried to define, that let us find a simple definition of democracy. Your book is wanting to help you, but there is certain character also. And before we move ahead, there is an activity in your book. Let us take this activity. You are being asked, let us take Lingdo Madam seriously and try to write down the exact definition of some of the simple word that we uses all the time, like pen, rain and love. You can do it, and you will find that if your class has 40 students, everyone will define the word love or the word pen or the rain in a different manner. It means different people take the definition in it, take the things in a different perspective. What you have learned from this attempt, that's what book is asking. You first try to do it in your classroom whenever get opportunity, and you will find that even 5 students will be writing or even 40 students will be writing in the classroom, their definition will not be same. And there is another question, what does it teach us about understanding the meaning of democracy? It helps us to understand two things, that democracy is quite a broad word and it need to be defined in a broader sense. It should not remain limited just because one person 200 years ago has defined the democracy and we should keep following. You should understand that the very nature of the subject social science is dynamic. It is not like subject like mathematics or science where the formulas are being made and those formulas are not questionable. Those formulas are beyond any dispute, so we need to keep following that. That's the nature of the science subject. But in social science, with the change of the time, definition changes. With the change of the time, the definition of a particular word keeps on growing. And as this is about democracy, book is wanting to give this democratic right to all of you to have your own understanding. The student, as I said, that there are some characters asking question. This girl has changed completely the meaning of democracy, which is actually making a hint or a kind of comments on the system what we are going to appreciate, that is called democratic system. She is making mockery of the democratic definition of Abraham Lincoln. What she is saying, that democracy is a government which is far, it is not FOR, it is FAR, that is from far away from the people. And by is not by, it is buy, by from the people. And there, so there, hope you remember the Abraham Lincoln definition. Democracy is a government by the people, for the people, and by the people, for the people, and from the people. So it is far from the people. It is by means she is wanting to do some hint that the present democracy what is existing is purchased by the political power, political parties, in a form of using lot of the money to win the election and somehow managing to come to the power. She is saying that this democracy claiming to be a government of the people, but it is not the government of people other than letting them to cast the vote over a period of 5 years and then nothing doing to take related to the what we can say related to the welfare of the people. And by this means girl is wanting to pinpoint the definition. On the same page, we are starting with what is the simple definition of the democracy, and then we will, starting from the simple definition, we will continue with our effort here onwards till the end of the chapter, that we will try to include more and more issues as a similarities and differences existing in different form of democratic setup. I am repeating again, here onwards with the simple definition, we will starting from the very basic definition of democracy, and we will try to make the definition more and more broad in the sense. So your book is starting from a very simple definition that democracy is a form of government in which rulers are elected by the people. Please pay attention here. Three words are important. Form of government is democracy. Ruler, those who will be ruling, those who will form the government, are elected. Elected means through the means of election these people will come to the power, and by the people, it means people will decide who should come to the power. That is the very basic definition of democracy. But now when you will be moving ahead, you will find various interesting thing. That does this definition what I have given you is adequate? Is it good enough? Should we not move further to redefine democracy or explore new dimensions of democracy? Let us try. Your book has given an example of a country, Myanmar. It is a country which is renamed after 1989. It was earlier known as Burma, but now this country is known as Myanmar, in which the military rule exists. Army is ruling over there using the gun power or the bullet power. So can you say where people are dictated with the rule of the army? Does it possible to have? Do you find that it is possible to have democracy existing over there? There is another example, another country in the South America, that is called Chile, in which in the decades of 70s and 80s there was a military rule of the ruler Augusto Pinochet, who after coming to the power hardly asked any opinion from the public. So public was not considered. How you can say that democracy exists in such country? Then your book has given another example that there is a Saudi Arabia in which the people from the royal family do comes. Hardly people are asked that who should be their ruler. It is quite natural that the elder son of the king, or not elder, if elder son is not capable, then the another member of the family can be taken for the post of the king existing, or office of the king existing in this country. So in a royal family, people's opinion are never welcome. Then there exists dictatorial form of government, like you used to see that North Korea, where Mr. Kim Jong is ruling like a dictator because he belongs from the royal family, and though he was not the elder son, but he could manage to eliminate his elder brother so that he can rule over there. But do you find any place where the people's opinion, people's mind was asked that what they are wanting? In such places it was not asked. In the later part, your book has also given an example that in our country we used to say that centuries ago there existed Raja Ram, under whom there was in Ayodhya existing a Ram Rajya, means everyone was happy, fine, every person was happy, people were loving to their king, king was very good, king was considering all the welfare, but even then it was not fit for calling it democracy. Reason, student, because people did not elect Ram as the ruler of the Ayodhya. It was his father, who was the king of the Ayodhya, had decided that Ram will be the another king, but later he changed his decision. You have studied the Ramayana, why, and made his son Bharat as the king. So nutshell message in this story is, a story of Ramayana is that in both these cases, either making of Ram as a king or making Bharat as a king, never public opinion was asked. That's how, student, we can say that it is required to find a true meaning of democracy, and only saying that rulers are elected by the people is not adequate. This definition never fulfill all the requirement. Rather, we need to make a clear definition by adding that people should not only involve in electing of the ruler after a period of 5 or 6 years, and whenever election comes, during these all period when a particular party rules or particular ruler rules, they should take every decision for the well-being of the people. That is required, student. To help you understand that whenever democracy is established through the means of election but not by the people's open or wishes, it cannot also be called democracy. Take the cartoon. There is a cartoon related to the Iraq where it is found that democracy is established, but look at the cartoon carefully. It is established by the soldiers, army. It is a story of the decades of 90 in the previous century, when in the presence of military power of the European countries and American forces, election was conducted. People were made to cast the vote, and they did cast their vote under the pressure of bullet and gun. So how you can expect, when people are casting the vote under the fear and under the pressure, it is not something that can be considered democracy. And that's why your book is wanting to show you. Take the clear look of the cartoon. If this could be introductory class, student, I would have asked question and I would have given you opportunity to find out in the cartoon what is special. But here I am telling you myself, the word M is highlighted in the letter M is highlighted in the word democracy. It simply means that M stand for military, where military is taking the participation. On the same page, student, there is a check your progress section. These students who were involved in the Madam Lingdo class have asked various questions. I would suggest you read it yourself, as this book is quite democratic in nature. Students are given opportunity to give their opinion. I would not try to give the answer, because that would be very dictatorial in nature, that what I would be saying you will have to believe. You can have the discussion in your classroom with your teacher. You can have your opinion, then your classroom will become interesting and you will have better sense of understanding the true meaning of democracy. Student, in this section I am stopping. From the next section we will continue to make effort to redefine democracy to the larger extent and broader sense. Thank you, student.